on the live line Byron Henry. Byron, a constitutional law expert. And let's get right to the meat of it, Byron. What you know about the executive order, the travel ban and all, in your mind, is this constitutional? Will it stand?
Well, first and foremost, the Constitution gives plenary power to Congress over immigration, and there's no constitutional right for any person that I'm aware of to come to this country for any reason other than citizens. That includes work, school, vacation, or any other reason. So basically, Congress has plenary authority to grant the privilege of coming to this country, and they have delegated that authority to administer that to the President of the United States. So as long as President Trump, is coloring within the lines here and basically implementing Congress's scheme in which Congress has given him discretion to withhold entry of aliens for basically any reason he deems in the interest of the United States, then I don't believe it's unconstitutional. Now, there is an issue with respect to those who already have visas and were already here and had already passed the process. They may have a right to actually stay here, but that's a different discussion, and that's getting worked out in the courts right now.
I got you. And just the trajectory of that, that's not a quick rack up. I mean, nothing really gets through the court systems with any speed, does it?
No, right now all the courts have done is said, listen, don't send them back to their home country until we have a chance to have a hearing and decide what their status is, because once you send them back, you can't fix that. You can't change that fact that they're already there. So you need to hold them here or allow them to stay just till we have a hearing, and most of the courts have set short dates for hearing and briefing. But yes, the entire case of deciding the legality, the due process rights of those already here as opposed to those who are still in their home countries, that would take a while to work its way through the system. But I will say this is a temporary measure, as President Trump and his administration has said. This is basically pushing the pause button for 90 to 120 days on immigration, and they're going to investigate and work out a new program on how to deal with immigrants from these 7 countries.
So when you pull back a step or two, or maybe 100, it may be not so much the constitutionality of this executive order, but just the style with which it was implemented. I mean, Ohio politicians, judges, rank and file and all that, it's like, wow, that's a big step all at once. And it seems like that's the quick reaction. That's why there was so much knee-jerk and protest.
Well, yes, President Trump ran on the idea that he was not happy, and the American people were not happy with the way the immigration was being implemented under the Obama administration. You had, the whole case about giving work status to illegal immigrants and their children, giving them status here, and that went up through the courts and whatnot, and is actually still in the court. So the American people were very conscious of the issue that Donald Trump was going to basically do an overhaul or a review of all of the processes within the law, of course, that he, within his discretion with respect to immigration. And that's just what he's doing. It just happened all at once. It was unexpected. It wasn't reported or leaked that it was going to happen. And so that kind of shock value, plus the seeming, the wall, basically the gate came down, and it's like for 90 to 120 days, no one can come into from these countries. And of course that seems extreme, even though it's temporary, because we have a lot of people coming back from school from other countries and whatnot. So, I mean, there is an impact here, and it is going to take a while to shake out, but no one said this was going to be easy or it was going to be pretty, protecting the safety of the United States.
No doubt. Byron, one quickie before I let you roll. In Columbus here, our mayor has said he's going to sign his own executive order that says, we're not going to pursue, people of undocumented status, immigration. We're not going to allow the feds in and all that kind of stuff. In that kind of game of whose is bigger, whose is? I mean, does his stand here, but the president, if people don't make their own local decision, then that's the law of the land, or does the president trump the mayor or vice versa? How does that play out?
Well, I mean, the federal government and the cities and states are supposed to be partnerships. Of course, the states are sovereigns, just like the federal government are dual sovereigns in our system, in our republic. But certainly, if we expect the federal government to enforce the law when they're in Ohio, and the federal government will enforce federal law to protect Ohioans from different crimes and whatnot, whether it be gun crimes or other federal crimes. And then you would expect vice versa that Ohio would enforce federal law within its borders as well, because it's supposed to be a partnership. But this is a political issue, and technically, the feds are in charge of immigration and enforcement. And if the state of Ohio does not want to cooperate, or a city in Ohio does not want to cooperate with the federal government enforcing the law, it has a lot of authority to do that. But of course, it risks of course, the partnership with the federal government, and that includes funding and other things that come from the federal government from Ohio and their tax dollars.
Good stuff. Great information, Byron. Thank you very much. Byron Henry, constitutional law expert on News Radio 610 WTBN.